What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MikeTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm taking a second look at Despicable Me. Yo, Despicable Me. Uh, that theme song that plays through it that I don't think is necessarily, it hasn't turned out to be a banger quite the way, like, I don't know, Nod Your Head, Black Suits Coming from Men in Black. But, yeah, the franchise has gone on to be gangbusters for Illumination and for Universal. It's basically the whole reason Illumination exists, if we're being really honest, and why they get to do so many things is because of Despicable Me and this massive launch of a franchise with all the minions, which are now ubiquitously placed in every little bit of merchandising for your kids ever. I'm sure if you have a child, you've bought something with them with a minion on it. And you don't even know it. So this is the first film where Steve Carell takes on the role of Gru. And we see him as the rising villain who, working his way up through the to hopefully being able to steal the moon. That is his goal here. He's being shown up by some new kid on the block named Vector, who decided to steal the pyramids and replace them with inflatables. And the opening sequence sort of shows that people are just now finding that out for the first time. Like, what other national treasures have been stolen? What other worldwide great moments in history have been taken by this villainous villain? And he's very sort of like an unsuspecting. When Gru meets him the first time, he kind of like sidesteps him because he's like, I don't know about this dude. But yeah, the first film sets up the Despicable Me world in a really solid way, explaining a lot and introducing you to all the characters. It does have audio description done by Miles Neff, so yeah, it's pretty good stuff. I mean, it's audio description that's absolutely on point. So I own this on DVD. That's a plus. I liked it enough. I liked it, so I put a ring on it by buying it on physical media. And it's worth watching. I think with each sequel and with the spinoff movies, that's when you sort of start treading into the waters of, is this something we need to watch for sure? Like each thing kind of depletes for me. I'm not like a huge fan of Despicable Me 3, which we'll get to. And I have yet to sit down and watch Despicable Me 4, but it doesn't seem to have a discernible plot. So I have no idea whether or not I'm going to like it that much. But sometimes the minions are just entertaining, doing really silly things. It's a really difficult film to audio describe when you think about it because of the minions and the fact that they all look different. And you're like, the tall one, the short one, the fat one, the one with one eye, the one with shirt. Like, I mean, you have to come up with so many different ways of describing them because they all basically look the same with like little differences. And once they start kind of developing little characters and personalities for some of them, like Kevin and Bob and stuff like that, then it's like, well, what does Kevin look like? And it sounds silly, but it's like sighted kids get to kind of figure that out because they have sort of repetitiously shown a few of the minions with the same general look, so it's easier. But for the rest of us, it's just kind of like, what is a minion? Trying to make sure that your kids understand what a minion is like half the battle alone. Almost has to be like tactile in a way. It's almost like, I was thinking about this while I was listening to the things. I was like, I still don't know. Like, I mean, I've seen a minion before, but I don't know that I would fully grasp what a minion was just from audio description. If somebody didn't like bring one to me and be like, this is a minion, hold it. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's a little like if a Tic Tac was on steroids and alive with arms and legs and eyes. Got it. I mean, it's got kind of like that roundish shape to it, and they're all yellow. Um, so, although I feel like that's the next frontier for Minion is to have one that's not, and like everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's the blue Minion! What hath God wrought upon us?" I feel like that's going to be the next Minions movie. Is going to be the fact that they have some super special, uh, the red Minions. Oh no! Now your kids have to own a different set of Minions. Who knew? Um, so this is also such an entertaining movie for me to watch all the time now, because I will reveal to you, my beloved audience, that one of my text tones when somebody texts me is "it's so fluffy" from this movie. It's like ripped from this movie. So like I forget when it's in this movie and I check my phone. And I do that every time. Despicable Me, since I started using it as a text tone. Uh, I think I've seen this film like twice now, and I turn to my phone and I'm like, "Oh no, it it was in the movie. This is the movie that it comes from." I, I wonder if anybody else has that problem who like gets heavy into being a movie nerd and having their phone like ringtones and text tones be entirely like from the movies. Have you ever like watched a movie before and you're like, "Oh my, it's my phone," and you're like, wait a minute, no, it's not. It's not that. So, but yeah, I enjoy Despicable Me. I don't know if it's reached the level of classic animation that has stood the test of time in terms of cinema. I don't know that we're at that point with the franchise where we can talk about it. It's really hard to differentiate it because it's still a live franchise. It's still something that is actively making movies and making money. It's gonna be really hard to say that cinematically, if I was to pass my knowledge on to a little person who was like, "I want to become the greatest movie critic ever. What film should I watch?" To say, "Don't watch this franchise at all" seems kind of like, because I mean, when you think about its place in film history, it is basically the reason why Illumination exists, and the films have grossed an insane amount of money worldwide, collectively as a franchise as of this date. There are rides based on this movie, merchandising and everything. It's really hard to just not have at least some sort of basis by watching at least the first film, for conceptualizing this. So it may not be my favorite animated film, but I think it's perfectly fine and I like watching it. The sequels vary for me in terms of what I like and what I don't like and which ones I like better or worse. And I think what Steve Carell pulls off here as Gru is funny. I think he adds something to the voice. The three little girls are cute. They're a neat introduction to the film. Sort of Gru's whole world, just the way that they came up with it, and the fact that we turned this villain into like this lovable foster father, just ends up becoming this sort of like, the takeaway from this is that not all people are maybe completely worthless, and there's a lot of him like looking for acceptance from his own parents here, and of course the girls just want a place. They just want somebody to call dad and some place to call home. And so to show that parallel is actually smart, and I kind of forgot they did that in this film, because it's such like a side story for him, is Gru being in contact with his mom, and his mom's like constantly like, "You gonna do something good with your life for once?" you know Thanks, mom. So yeah, but I loved listening to Miles do this narration. He's one of my favorite narrators, and I think definitely he brings something to the table. He makes it exciting, engaging for kids, and everything that I think audio description is supposed to be. I know somebody else who doesn't prefer him, and it blows my mind. I'm just like, what? Um, so I guess he can be maybe a little too performative, but at the same time, I think he makes it feel like we're liking them, like the movies are all like we're here to enjoy the movies. So from that perspective, it's sort of like why I'm here. Is like I like movies. I want to like your movie. I don't want to come on here and be like, I hate movies. I hate this movie. Why am I watching movies? If I was going to do that, I'd be like, I don't know. Uh, what would I critique? Sports? But not even like the one sport I like. I'd critique all of the other sports and be like, curling. It's, you know, uh, and then you'd be like, why is this guy constantly talking about? He seems to hate it. And that's what it can seem like with critics. It's like, do we hate everything? It's like, no, some of this stuff is fine. It's not, it's just, I mean, it's not, we don't need to throw Oscars at them, but there's nothing wrong with Despicable Me. It does exactly what it sets out to do and is entertaining. And will likely stand the test of time because at this point, they're sort of like SpongeBob. And I think SpongeBob has proven his sturdiness over the years. And they're just going to keep powering on and being this huge marketing boom until such time that they feel maybe like a little old-fashioned and need to be sort of revitalized in maybe like a Scooby-Doo way. But the thing is, most people still even know who Scooby-Doo is. And yeah, we're struggling to figure out what to do with him right now as a character and things like Velma, and Netflix now has the rights to do a Scooby-Doo show. So it's not, but he's still an incredibly recognizable figure. You put Scooby-Doo on a shirt and little kids probably know who he is, even if they're not entirely sure that they've ever watched a cartoon with him. There is sort of that level where and I think even that 50 years from now, I think Despicable Me will be there. I think if people see Minions on a t-shirt, even if we haven't done anything with Minions in a while, people are going to know who he is, who they are, So, I'm going to give Despicable Me a B+. I think it's a good place to start. I think there may be a better Illumination film out there, but this is a really solid start for them and the whole reason that they exist. So, looking forward to watching the rest of the films in the franchise. I already have a review of Minions Rise of Gru up on my channel, so I may not do a second look at that, which means I may not do Minions. May just do the Despicable Me films. I don't know. I'll see how the wind blows between now and Despicable Me 4 as to whether or not I'm going to touch the Minion spinoffs. So, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.